everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here, and here's my review for She-Hulk. I think it's safe to say that none of us had high expectations for this show based on the trailers that we'd seen, and we saw the normal PR machine go into overdrive, that if you don't like it, you're sexist, and articles about body type, and she doesn't have to conform to norms, and if you don't like how she looks, the Hulk, again, you're anti-women and all this kind of nonsense, where people are just pulling up, that she doesn't look how the character was drawn in the source material. Her character is very funny. The whole breaking the fourth wall thing, and it was very popular. A comic for men. Lots of YouTube channels that I've seen who are kind of labeled anti-women, all those kind of things, speak very highly of this comic. I've personally not read it, but I've tried to find out as much as I can. And generally it seems like a really, really popular character. Certainly the earlier incarnations, I think, like the rest of the comic industry, it's taken a very downward slide, but I do believe they're going back to more the original looking character in the comics now. So with all that in mind, when the PR machine goes into overdrive to basically tell you why you're not going to like it before it comes out, it never bodes well. So again, went into watching this with a pretty low bar. I'd heard some good things from people that I do rate on YouTube. I've also seen some stuff that people think it's utter garbage from people I also rate on YouTube. Where do I sit? I just think it's kind of meh. I mean, it's not the worst of the Marvel shows, definitely not. It's not any better than any of the Marvel shows that we've had, really. It's kind of a non-entity, I think. I think there's some really super cringe moments in there. It starts off, we're introduced to She-Hulk, or her alter ego, and she's like in a car with Bruce, and they have an accident, and she's severely cut her arm, and obviously Bruce injured as well, and she drags Bruce out of the car, and his blood basically gets into her open cut, and you sort of see the veins going green, and that's how basically almost this sort of gets transferred to her. We later sort of find out once Bruce has managed to get to her and takes her back to his secret Mexico hideout that Tony Stark has built for him, obviously prior to his demise. He's done some tests, and she's got the same DNA makeup as Bruce that allows them to be Hulks, and the gamma rays not kill them very conveniently. But he needs to understand what her Hulk powers are and what triggers her. And, you've got a very, very likable character from the comics, which in usual Marvel style and other studios now have managed to take a really likable character and make her as likable as possible. Bruce, who's now in the guise of the sort of Professor Hulk, is trying to advise her and basically saying, look, you're dangerous. If you get angry, you could be out of control and you could kill people. And all she keeps doing is laughing in his face and putting him down, and I'm better than you, and yeah, whatever you say. Like he's a moron. He's a scientist. He spent the last 15 years learning to control his Hulk. She's been a Hulk for 2 seconds, and she's a lawyer. And we've already had, I'm just as smart as you. I'm just as clever as you. And made her really snarky and just obnoxious, quite frankly. And it's a shame because I really like this actress, Tatiana. I'm not sure how she pronounced the first name. It's Tatiana. In Orphan Black. I really like that show. Again, they didn't really nail the landing of that series, but she was fantastic in it, and I think she won some Emmys and stuff. She's a really, really good actress, and it's such a shame to see her talents wasted, just having to be the stereotypical narky, you can't tell me anything man attitude, which is a real waste. There's a scene where he's trying to teach her sort of Hulk powers, and then she just decides that she can control when she changes and when she doesn't, which obviously Bruce wasn't able to do. So there, she's better than him, and she doesn't need to stay around learning anything. He can't teach her nothing. So she decides to leave. He tries to stop her, and it just evolves into this massive fight. And you've got these cousins flinging each other around and fighting as Hulks, and it's just a bit jarring, really. Like, it's like, I don't think, you know, most families behave like that. Even, I mean, I know it's supposed to be Hulk and they've got anger rage issues, but it just didn't sit. It was just stupid. And then she sort of finally apologizes to him, and he's like, yeah, you can go, just like that. But he's always there for her if she needs him, and all this kind of nonsense. After she's like completely, you know, berated him and just, you know, not even prepared to listen to a single thing he's learned over the last 15 years. So anyway, off she goes back to her real life. But before that, there's his most cringy moment. He's trying to sort of teach her sort of yoga and deep breathing and sort of Zen and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then about controlling rage, and we keep getting these statements about, oh, women's baseline is always angry, women's baseline is always having to deal with this, and she comes out with this most ridiculous statement of, I have to control my anger every day when I'm catcalled. I have never been angry in my whole entire life being wolf whistled at or catcalled. I was always a bit like, thanks, you know, as you're walking down the road. Maybe I'm an old dinosaur, I don't know. And I think as long as, you know, someone just whistling at you and they're not saying anything, you know, massively inappropriate, it's just a whistle. I mean, no harm done, right? Then then she talks about mansplaining and how an incompetent man, it's not just a man, but an incompetent man tells her area of expertise and she has to bite her tongue. And I'm like, no, you don't. You know, yes, as a woman, I have been mansplained to in my career, in my job and what I do. And hell yeah, it's as frustrating as F. And I hate it. But you deal with it. Like, as an intelligent career woman, you stand your ground, you're non-emotional, you mansplain back, or you basically, you know, you can basically explain back to them that yes, you do know, and maybe you know more than they do, but you don't have to be obnoxious, you don't have to be emotional, you don't have to get labeled as difficult. I don't know where these women work that write this nonsense, and maybe it's a much worse cultural phenomenon in America than it is in the UK. But the way these women write, I have never been treated like this and I predominantly work in very male-dominated industries like IT. I'm working with CEOs and COOs, and I'm always able to hold my ground. And for me, whether you're in a female-dominated industry or a male-dominated industry, you have to earn the respect of your peers and the people above you. And there's this whole generation of writers that seem to demand respect and command respect. And if they don't get it, it's not. No matter what you do, you have to be good at it and get the respect of your peers. And I've worked very hard and I get the respect of my peers, and they don't mansplain to me because I earn their respect, that I know what I'm blimming on about. So this was the most cringy. And then she basically says, and if I do tackle it, I get called difficult or emotional or worse, murdered. I'm like, are you insane? Are you absolutely insane? If you tackle someone at work for mansplaining you, you're going to end up being murdered, or you're just going to not be murdered if you get angry because you're a woman. Oh, I mean, I've been on this planet quite a while and never in my whole life have I like not stood up for myself and worried about being murdered. I'd say I just don't know what environments these women are in that they feel like they're going to get murdered for standing up for themselves. It's just completely insane. You know, she's supposed to be a lawyer. She's not like in a ghetto or this really rough area, or even like a sort of, you know, a teacher in a rough area where actually, yeah, you could get stabbed or beaten up. You know, it's just complete nonsense. And I have to say, this is the most annoying thing in the show. And I was kind of checked out at this point. I'm like, okay, this is clearly how they're going to play this. There's no, you know, the humor, as well as it was all at the expense of Bruce or Professor Hulk. And it's constantly, oh, men are stupid, men are this. And I was just like, come on, you're smarter than this. The comics were smarter than this. It was just ultra cringe. So massively disappointing is the only thing I can say. It then kind of goes on that she leaves, she goes back to her job, and she hasn't had an incident in months because she's just so amazing. And there's a day in court, it comes to closing statements, and she comes to do a closing statement, and her colleague, who's a man, basically says, "Oh, don't screw it up," because he's obviously the dick arsehole mansplainer of the company. And she gets up to do her closing statement, and then someone bursts through the wall, and it's Jamelia Jamil, who I also cannot stand. That woman has disappeared so far up her own backside. It's ridiculous. She's always going on about, oh, we don't need airbrushing and this, that, and the other thing, where she's a slim, attractive, pretty girl. Strange how slim, attractive, pretty girls always say that. And it doesn't matter what size you are when you're slim and attractive. She's an absolute arse, and I can't stand her. She was okay. She was tolerable in the good place, but then she was basically playing herself, kind of obnoxious and stupid. So that kind of worked. I don't think she's a particularly good actress, and God knows why they've cast her in this, but she does say all the buzzwords. She does say all the right things, for Hollywood. So I get why she's got cast in it. But she was in it for like a couple of minutes and barely spoke, which is good. So anyway, this basically, she bursts in and starts throwing furniture around, and then her the whole female colleague goes, "Oh, do your thing," and we go, "Oh, I really like this suit," and then she hulks out and stops Jamelia Jamil, and it kind of ends there. So it's a bit of a nothing burger, the first episode. You've just got her going around being snarky, saying how great she is and how rubbish Bruce is, and how she doesn't need anybody's help and she can just go back to her life. And then she's gone back to her life, and this has happened because he tried to warn her that basically, you're going to have a target on your back once people or certain elements of the, criminal superhero world find out that you've got these powers. Your life's never going to be the same. But of course, she wouldn't listen because she knows better. So that was basically it. Like I say, obviously in the Marvel shows, they're quite short anyway. You're lucky if you get 20 minutes time. You've had the opening credits and 10 minutes of end credits, etc. So I mean, I'll watch the next couple, see if it gets any better. But if it carries on down this sort of let's just crap all over men dialogue for humor, I'm kind of out. I mean, I'll review the whole show if people like the reviews and want me to review the whole show. I'm quite happy to. But I think pretty much I've not liked a single Marvel show yet. I think the only one I watched all the way through was Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that was painful. I pretty much dropped out after 2 or 3 episodes. I was out after episode 2 of Loki. Hawkeye, I didn't finish the first episode. It was so boring, and I can't even remember the names of the other shows that we've had. So anyway, I will watch it, review it for you, so you don't have to. But yeah, it's kind of nah. It's kind of just nah, it was kind of exactly, I think, what we thought we were going to get. Unfortunately, it's a really waste of a good actress. Let's just hope that normally the first episode is the best one that you get, and then it kind of goes off a cliff. But let's see where it goes. Let's hope they kind of take it up a notch and actually have some genuine humor in there. There's some, there's real good set up here with the character and where it could go. They just fall back on just cheap, lazy writing. We know exactly what we're going to get right up until the end. But anyway, that's my thoughts. It's a meh, and cringe as hell. But let's see where it goes. Let's hope it's ever the optimist. Let's hope it gets better. And I will probably roll this into my weekly updates and just add this onto my weekly updates of what I've been watching rather than doing a standalone one. Unless there's a particular episode that I really, really want to talk about or go into in lots and lots of depth. So yeah, that's it. Check it out if you want to. You might have different views. If you do, obviously put them in the comment section. Love to hear what you think of the show. Do like and subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and share the videos. And yeah, let me know if you want me to review the whole series. I probably will. But thanks for listening, and that's my Hulk review. Take care. Bye-bye.